talk about the kind of big GMO traits that are currently on the market. Yeah.
Sorry, Clausen just kind of hit me. So, like, I hear talk about kind of like in the medical field where they talk about superviruses and how certain strains of viruses have become so strong that it's almost impossible to fight them or kill them with current medical equipment and antibiotics. So, how big of a concern is that right now with super weeds? As far as like those weeds becoming so potentially powerful and resistant that they can't be stopped by herbicides.
Yeah. So it's the exact same process going on with weeds as with, so it's not viruses so much, but bacteria. So in the medical field, we've been sort of overusing antibiotics, right? And so as a result, bacteria keep evolving resistance to our different antibiotics. And so you might have heard about MRSA, which is the multiple drug resistant Staphylococcus aureus, which is bacteria, right? Big problem in hospitals. And it's the same thing with the weeds. So if you keep applying the same weeds, the same herbicides, you're going to get resistance. But it's not gone to nearly the same degree as with the bacteria. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about how GM crops actually get to the market. Because the federal government doesn't let anybody sitting in the garage go through and genetically modify some plants and sell them to you guys. So there's actually a whole regulatory process that these plants have to go through. And so the first step is conducted by the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA. So the FDA works with the companies to see whether there's any cause to believe that the particular crop is substantially different than ones that we already know are safe for human consumption. So, we've been eating corn for hundreds of years, right? Or thousands of years. So is the genetically modified corn different in a way that would give us a reason to think it might be harmful? So they do that by showing that it is stable in the genome of the corn plant. And then they do a bunch of comparisons between the GM plant and non-GM to see if it's changed at all in terms of its nutritional content. And if it appears to be the same, and then there's no reason to believe that it's going to be an allergen, the FDA will approve it for release. So you can actually access all of these reports on the FDA's website for all the different transgenic crops. Second approval is from the Department of Agriculture. And so basically what they look at is whether the transgenic crop has a significant danger of becoming a weed that could be harmful for agriculture. And then lastly, if the crop makes a pesticide, so like those BT plants that we were looking at in the video there, they make a pesticide that kills insects. Then the Environmental Protection Agency takes a look at it and determines whether the degree of environmental risk posed by that pesticide is acceptable. Yeah.
Maybe I'm dumb, but what makes a product convert from a product to a weed?
So you could, let's see, if you wanted to make it resistant to 10 herbicides, increase seed production rate, make it grow really fast, say. It'd be pretty hard to make something into a truly dangerous weed that they wouldn't approve, I would think.
Okay.
But probably if you stacked multiple herbicide-resistant traits, that could be a problem. Because these, Roundup ready plants, like you can't kill it with Roundup, you can kill it with any other herbicide, right? So it's not going to be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. So all of the genetically modified crops that we eat in the United States go through this process. None of the other food that we eat that's made by breeding or mutagenesis go through any of these steps. Those can go straight to the customer. In other countries, the process is a bit different. So in Canada, for example, any new food product has to be approved to be safe for eating, regardless of how it's made.
Wait, doesn't everything have to go through the FDA at least once, including foods?
Nope. So if it is something that is what's called generally recognized as safe, then they do not have to get approval for it.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So GMOs, while it's kind of a sort of newfangled and some people scary sounding technology, are actually the most heavily tested and examined products that come on. All right, so here's that herbicide resistance I was telling you about. And so these are Roundup Ready sugar beets. And so sugar beets are grown primarily in the Dakotas, and so they're actually one of the major sources of sugar in processed foods. Most of the sugar that you buy, like put in your coffee or bake with, is from sugarcane, but in a lot of processed foods, it's actually from these guys. And so on the left here are some Roundup Ready beets that have been sprayed with Roundup. You see the only thing growing there are sugar beets, nice little rows. On the right, these have not been sprayed with the Roundup. So what this does, it allows you to kill any other plants besides the ones you want. So if you weren't able to do that, what that would mean is that throughout the course of the growing season, these weeds are going to be competing with your sugar beet crop for water and minerals and sunlight, and result in a lower yield. All right, so glyphosate, which is Roundup, the way that works is by inhibiting this enzyme here, EPSP synthase. And what that enzyme does is part of a biochemical pathway that leads to the production of these three amino acids, so phenylalanine, tyrosine, and tryptophan. So why do you think that blocking production of these three amino acids kills the plant? Yeah,
Those are all vital to survive. It's sort of like the way that when we block the electron transport chains, it prevents the production of vital elements to survive.
Yep, so they are definitely vital to survive, but what do we use those for? What are amino acids used for? Proteins. Yeah, they're used for proteins, right? So if we remember in the last unit, we talked about, you start with DNA, you transcribe it into RNA, and you translate it into proteins, right? So those proteins are chains of amino acids, which we've got 20 in plants, including these three. So if you can't make 3 of your amino acids, you're not going to be able to make most of the proteins that you need. So the reason that we can target this in plants and have it be safe for us, we make these too, or we need these as well, is that this enzyme is specific